Welcome back. If this is your first time tapping in, welcome to the Elephant in the Room, where we just talk about whatever we want to talk about. That's the good thing about it, is just an open discussion and some knowledge, and I refer a lot to my own healing journey. If you don't know, my name is Tambra. I've been on a spiritual path now for about three and a half years. But in this last year, a lot of things in life has acted as a catalyst in my healing process, and that goes for people and different events and so forth. And I've done a lot of work to where now I feel that I've mastered it enough to give it away. And I'm grateful. And I'm grateful for anyone. If any of this resonates, take it with you. If it don't, leave it for somebody else. It's that simple. I've gotten a lot of questions in these last few weeks about, like, it's about to get cold, the seasons, what fall represents spiritually, what it looks like for, let me stop and say, we mirror everything that's going on outside of us is going on inside of us. So the fall and the winter, you can look at fall as, like the leaves falling and it's the end of something, or you can look at them as the trees are about to grow something new and something new is coming. Because we're all in a season. And so, like, the sooner you understand that, like, this is just a season. Like, even, I was telling somebody the other day, I said, just look up. Just look up at the clouds and realize that they are constantly moving. Like, they're just moving. They're flowing. And even though they look still, they're not. And it's the same thing with us. It's like the only thing that is constant is change. Now, if we receive it or we resist it, that is all up to us. And that is normally where we tend to hurt ourselves or we tend to cause friction, is because we're holding on something longer than we should. And it's like, just let it go. Whether it's a feeling, a person, a job. We as humans get so caught up in the human experience and the human feelings that we forget that, like, nothing is forever. And so just understanding and having that gratitude while it's here is just so important. And so some of the questions that I got was, what could I do to prepare for winter? And because it's about to get dark, it's about to get cold, it's about to get and so, and my answer to that was, go inward. So you have about 60 days, and let me rewind a little bit. So realistically, habits are made in 66 days. So 21 days to make a habit, but 66 days is when your brain fully will do that behavior without thinking. And so that would be a subconscious behavior. And so whatever that looks like, and I just told one of my girls that I mentor, she said, well, what are some habits that, and I said, well, write down a list of the exact person that you want to be. And, so that is physical, mental, spiritual, how you want to speak, how you want to look, how you want to conduct yourself, how you want to feel. Write it down so descriptive that, and then, use your imagination. Physically see yourself as this being, because the brain is either a record of the past or a map to the future. And so if we're not intentional, then you're always going to make tomorrow's choices based off yesterday's old feelings. And so, like, just really being intentional with who you want to become. Because a lot of people, when you ask them, like, I asked my girl, well, what do you want? She's like, Tamara, I don't know. I don't know what I want. And I was like, well, that's the first thing, is you have to decide. You have to decide the partner you want. You have to decide the job you want. You have to decide everything. That's the biggest thing, is making the decision. And then once you make the decision and you write it down on paper, because the way the energetic field of the energy, thoughts create it, feelings draw it to you. Let me say that again. So thoughts create the experience, and then the feeling that you put behind it draws it to you. So, and that's whether if you're acting out of fear or jealousy or envy or greed or lack, or then you're going to think it, and then you're going to feel it, and then you're going to draw that to you. And so that's why you keep having these, repeated cycles of bad jobs or bad relationships, or, low vibrating friendships, or whatever that looks like for you. But I would really encourage you to write down, it's September, and so you have about 60 days before winter, November, December, those few months. So you have about 60 days to really tap in with, who do I want to become? What personality traits do I want to carry? What do I want to let go of? Because right now, we're shedding. We're just like the leaves. We're just like the trees, like, we know what no longer serves us. And meanwhile, we may stay a little long, and, but when we really recognize, like, I don't think this friendship is working for me. And as long as and that's the thing, is because people, I just had this conversation, and, and it was partners, and, people forget to communicate, and they forget to just say, like, I love you, but I don't think we're headed in the same direction. But as long as you exit something in love and out of love, like, I love you, I want the best for you, but I just don't think that we're aligning, there's nothing wrong with that. Those are the type of conversation to where it's, I respect you, I appreciate you, I'm grateful for you, but I don't think that you're for me. And when you get to that point to where you stand in your truth and say, I don't think this is working out for me, and that's even with business, getting out of your comfortability, because we stay in a lot of places that we've outgrown because we're afraid of what's next, or we're afraid of what if, or we're afraid of, and it's like letting go of the what if, and just, really understanding that, like, if it's meant for me, it's already here. Everything is already here. There's abundance already here. Love is already, everything's here. You just have to align with the frequency to attract it. And so, and that's the thing, is really understanding with anxiety, with is getting out of our heads and getting in our hearts, because we tend to make all of our decisions from here. And normally when we do that, we don't consider what we feel. We consider what other people think is best for us. It's a lot of external. But we already know. We already felt it. Before you call and ask someone's opinion, you felt the answer. Now, did you trust it? Probably not. Because we don't, and that's okay, because we're human. But these next couple months, just feeling and getting in our heart, and just understanding. One of my girls, she was telling me the other day, she's like, I've had the worst headaches she's like, I've just been having the worst headaches. And I asked her, I was like, have you been doing a lot of thinking? She's like, literally. She's like, that's all I do. She was like, and so like understanding the stored energy that we have in our body, normally if it's stored in our head, and in thought and in, deep thought and old thoughts that we're not processing, it's going to look like headaches. It's going to look like sinus infections. It's going to look like stuffiness. It's going to look a lot of different ways. But acknowledging your body's trying to communicate with you, and it's like, we're off balance, and so like thinking would be your head, and then whatever you're not processing feeling wise. So if you say yes and you meant no, or if you held on to a feeling, so if somebody upset you and you didn't speak on it, you just kind of held on to it and let it go with a grain of salt, then you're gonna feel it here. And so thinking is head, feeling is stomach, and that can look a lot of different ways: ulcers, hernias, constipation, upset stomach, kidneys, so it's just understanding like what you're not processing. And just because the way we humanize the experience, the biggest thing that we do, we're all made up of matter. And the biggest thing that we do is try to change other people. And matter can't change matter. Like, it would take a really long time. But meanwhile, we see people, we see friends, and we want to fix them, and we want to help them, and we want to, and what ends up happening is we give them all of our energy, and then we feel tired, sluggish, drained, depleted, we're short-tempered, we're moody, we're staying up late, all these things. And it's like, because we're not processing stuff, we're trying to process their stuff, but we're not processing our stuff. So in these next couple seasons, what I call hermit mode would be to go inward, to really figure out what I desire, who I desire to be, how much money I desire to make, what relationships I desire to have, what I want my relationships to stand on. What does that foundation look like for you? And that's the thing, is because it's so easy for us to look at other people and say, I would never put up with that. I would never endure that. I would have already quit that job. All these things that we tend to, be able to recognize from anyone on the outside of us. And the biggest thing is, you can't read the label from inside the jar. Let me say that again. You can't read the label from inside the jar. So you're going to have to get outside of yourself and become the witness and the consciousness and the awareness of your character, of your qualities, of what you lack, of what you want to gain. And that's what these next few months, is really going to require in order to, and it all starts small. We tend to, when we do it, we do it. On January 1st, we're going to lose 100 pounds. And it's like, why not just say this week I'm going to lose 1 pound? And then in 10 weeks, you've lost 10 pounds. And then you'll get, it's all in your small habits. So instead of saying, I'm going to go to the gym every day this week. Now, meanwhile, you haven't been to the gym in 6 months. So then what happens is you go super hard and you push yourself super hard. And then you're like, oh, that was hard. And so we make it hard, or like, I'm going to, make this amount of money, but so it's like, start small to where it's like, I'm going to go to the gym today. I'm not going to worry about tomorrow. I'm only going to worry about the now, because there is so much presence, and like there's so much that lives in the now. Like when you get beyond time and you don't go here or there and get beyond space, and you just really dive into the now, that's where all of your beauty lives. Because we suffer 90% in our head. It's not even real. We do more suffering here than we do here. And so like really understanding, like, and just being aware, it's like it's okay to have every thought that you have, good, bad, or ugly. It is absolutely okay to have them. Just be aware that you're having them. Just be a witness to them. Like, process them, feel them, and then let them move through you. Because they're not constant. They're not gonna last. As long as you identify them for what they are, and separate from inside the jar and really step outside and just kind of look at yourself and just do some self-work, do some self-reflecting. Affirmations are amazing right now. I'm really big on music. Music takes me to a place. Like, no matter what feeling that I'm feeling, if I turn on a good playlist, and I don't mean one that's going to stroke your ego, and I don't mean that one that's going to, take you, I mean one that's going to feed your spirit, and the one that's going to, whether it's Christian music, whatever it looks like for you, but that song that just no matter what, you feel like you want to open the blinds and you want to dance, make you a playlist moving forward in these next couple months, to where that start to finish, that playlist is going to get you through the day. No matter how rough of a day you may have, a good playlist. Move your body. We store so much energy in our body. So just move your body. And it doesn't have to be anything. I always tell people, they're like, well, I don't know how to do yoga. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to whatever. And it's like, just get on the ground. Roll around, stretch, if it feels uncomfortable, it's working. That is where growth lies, in a comfortability. No one has ever grown from being comfortable, And so like, stretch, learn your body these next few months. Tap in with, self. Be around people that when you leave there, you feel charged. The people that when you leave, you feel empty. You're like, whew, this don't even belong to me. This energy don't even belong to me. Go around people that literally you can be vulnerable with, you can be transparent with. Don't stay in places that you have to build this ego wall up. You don't want to stay there too long, because you're going to allow your ego to take the driver's seat. And normally if the ego takes the driver's seat, then you're always going to end up at a dead end. It may not feel like a dead end because you're so used to being there, and that's with relationships, friendships, whatever that looks like for you. But really tap in with spirit and ask. I always tell people, spells, okay, good or bad, we cast spells, and it's either black magic or light magic. And so the black magic looks like, I'm never going to be able to leave this job. I can't afford to go on vacation. I can't afford to leave this job. Must be nice. God, my face is broke out. Whatever it looks like, you're casting spells on yourself. So if you want to leave that job, instead of saying, I can never afford to leave this job, say, how can I afford to leave this job? If you say, well, I just never learned that yet. How can I learn this? And so these are, certain, or I haven't learned yet, or how can I make, or instead of saying, I've been in a dark place, like, how can I get out of this dark place? Like, those verbal sentences is what is going to change your life, is what is going to change your beingness, is what's going to change your perception, because reality is not what you see, it is what you think. And so that's how you move to a place of heaven on earth, or happiness or bliss, is getting to a place to where you perceive everything with the knowing that A, is going to be okay, and B, I trust in whatever this experience is supposed to teach me. And so, within the next few months, just know, because the thing is anyone can know, but the goal is to understand. And so, like, people, you can read all the self-help books. I just had this conversation, and I told a woman, your husband, or a man can have, or a woman, whoever, we can have an entire toolbox, but we have to choose to build the shelf, and she's like, and it's the same thing. It's like, you can have and collect all the knowledge you want. You can read all the books, you can do all the things, you can study whatever you want, but like, until you choose to implement them in your daily routines, and pull certain habits out and implement certain new habits, that is how you create a new life. That is how you create a new being. And in these next few months of low vibrations and darkness and cold weather, it's like, don't look at it as a bad thing. Look at it as a aligning of solitude, to where even like, well, I gotta be by myself. And it's like, you don't have to be by yourself, you get to be with yourself. And that is so powerful. It's like, you're not by yourself, you're with yourself. Date yourself. See, what do I like? What do I desire? What body parts are my favorite? What areas of my body I enjoy? Because in order to be able to give something away, you must have it inside. And so we continue to look for love, and we continue to look for abundance, and we continue to look for joy, and all these things. And it's like, you're not ever going to find it out here if you can't feel it in here. And so just understanding that these next couple months is, if I could leave you with anything, create a playlist. Morning intentions, or evening journaling, like unpacking your day. Write a letter to yourself. I just did this, and whoa, it was powerful. Write a letter to yourself, your higher self, and tell her what you or him, whoever, what do you expect from them? What do you expect their character to be like? What do you expect their eating habits to be like? What do you expect their verbal to be like? Tell them you're proud of them, because you know how hard it took to get there. Tell them what you're grateful for along the journey. Discuss all of these things with yourself, because if you're not aligned with yourself, then no one, you're going to continue. You're a walking mirror, so you're going to get whatever you are. So if you're broken, and you still have stuff that ain't healed, then guess what you're going to attract? You're going to attract somebody broken that has those same problems with codependency, or daddy issues, or mommy resentments, or drug addictions, like whatever it may be. You attract what you are, or you attract what is in desperate need of you are. So be careful either way. And we're going to tap in and just, check in with self, align with self. These next couple months, it takes 66 days to do a behavior. So be mindful, like calendar, and really just see where you're at. Like, okay, this week was a bad week. Now, why was it a bad week? What made it a bad week? What made it a good week? Because if you don't get off autopilot, then you're going to look up and it's going to be a year that done passed. It's going to be, you're going to let a lot of the journey flow away if you do not start swimming with the current. If I could say anything, it's just figure out what your current looks like, because I just had this conversation, and the woman, she was applying for a new position, and it was like one of the highest ones in the company. And I told her, and because I don't really hold back much, but I told her, I said, no matter how far you climb up that ladder, if it's leaned against the wrong house, it'll never matter. And she's like, And now let me say that again. No matter how far you climb up the ladder, if it's leaning against the wrong house, it'll never matter. And so just be very intentional with, is your ladder leaned against the right house? Are you in accounting when meanwhile you love music and creativity? Are you, life is too short not to be aligned with your purpose. And when you align with your purpose, things won't come as hard. Because it's hard because God's like, girl, this ain't where I want you. So I'm going to make you uncomfortable, because I don't want you comfortable here, because this is not where I intend for you to be. And when I say God, I mean source, spirit, higher power, whatever you believe in. But it's not going to let you get comfortable where it doesn't want you. So that resistance and, those arguments and those, employees that, you can't get along with, or the systems that you don't love, or whatever that looks like, it's because you're not supposed to be there. And so, these next couple months, just really write down, because the moment you write it down, your dream turns into a vision. And when you put that vision with some imagination and some preparation, okay, that's where you get your plan of action, and you plan your work and work your plan, and then everything just flows. It'll just flow. It's going to be easy. These next few months are going to be amazing. So with that being said, thank you so much for tapping in. I hope that this helped. Make you a playlist. Do some affirmations. Figure out who you are, who you want to be, and how do you get there. And figure out what that road looks like. And then find some good people. Ask God or ask Source or ask Spirit. Send me some people. Send me what I need. Send me a vision for what my health looks like. Send me people to get me to my next chapter. Because that's the good thing about Spirit or Source is they'll send you some people. Now, will you see them when they're there? That's up for you to decide. It's like we pray for God, God, I really want a cake, and now we have an ideal of what our cake's supposed to look like. Now, meanwhile, He gave us all the ingredients and all the utensils, but we didn't see them because we were too busy thinking we knew what our cake was supposed to look like. So just be present. Dive into the present moment, and just really open your eyes. Once you ask those questions out loud to Spirit or to Source or whatever it looks like for you, really just awaken and open your eyes to because them small coincidences become okay, I see you. And so pay attention to those coincidences, because those coincidences are wrapped up in a prayer somewhere, and somewhere you've asked for those people, for that place, for that thing, but was you present in here in the now, and not in yesterday or not in tomorrow? And not in your head, and so open up your heart. And yeah, thank you so much for tapping in. I hope this helped. And leave a comment and all that good stuff. And I'm out.